Hello everyone, welcome back to some more of The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time we started off case 3, the adventure of the great departed soul, where a great deal of things happen. First off, not the armband, the great exhibition started, and we actually got to see the first test of a matter transport device. Or should I say we saw the first, well not the first, but we saw a failed test, I should say, where someone died. The victim, Mr. Is it Odai or Odie? Because the last name is Asman, so I'm thinking Odai Asman, but not Odie Asman? Whatever. Anyways, there's that. Secondly, as it turns out, if you go to the back of the page here, Van Zeeks and his new assistant that wasn't even mentioned in the previous game for some reason got attacked. It's not a problem though, they were able to beat them obviously, and it clearly shows they don't have any injuries, but yeah, that's the thing. Apparently the people that attacked him were working with, I think, with someone that he got guilty, and then, well, essentially what happened, what he said happened was he got someone acquitted, or either guilty, or the person was not guilty, but then the Reaper's Curse happened. And the partner of the guy that was taken out was Odai's man. So, yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyways, beyond that, we got our lawyer privileges reinstated. So, yeah, I guess all we have to do now is, talk to Mr. Hairbrain. So let's talk to Mr. Hairbrain and see what happens. The 22nd of October, local prison, cell 11. The warden said cell 11. That's this one.
Oh, there's someone curled up in a ball in the back corner. Look.
What's his name again? Professor Albert Hairbrain, wasn't it? Excuse me, Professor Hairbrain. Who are you? Yeah, I'll give him that voice. I don't know. I kind of want to give him a science. Okay. Was it something I said? A lawyer, you say? Would you be here about the experiment? Are you going to defend my hypothesis? Your hypothesis? Sorry, I don't... Yesterday's demonstration! That magnificent demonstration was... It was an out-and-out success by anyone's calculations. But despite that, no one listens. No lawyer believes in the science. When it's explained, they all leave at high velocity. Now's probably not a good time to mention that your zeal made my concentration leave for a while too. Alrighty then, so how in God's name was that a success? The man died, for Christ's sake. You mentioned the demonstration yesterday.
The papers have called it a spectacular failure. After all, a man died in the explosion, didn't he?
Ah! Yes, you could interpret the results that way if you really wanted to. Well, I suppose in the strictest sense, the experiment was a failure, but at the same time, it was a great success.
You've lost me.
I saw it with my own eyes, right there in front of me. Mr. Asman was spontaneously disassembled. Until then, everything was going exactly as my calculations had predicted. At that point, he should have been beamed to the Crystal Tower by instantaneous kinesis. However...
The machine exploded and Mr. Asman in fact perished.
Yes, I can't deny that part of the experiment was a failure.
So what you're really saying is, the large explosion that killed Mr. Asman was an accident, correct?
But the bigwigs had you arrested on suspicion of murder.
I was responsible for a man's death. That is the immutable truth here. And for that, I wish to be punished at once. But... Murder? Never in a million years. It was an accident. Simply an accident.
I see.
Harold and I were talking this morning, you know. He said the situation would change completely depending on whether it was treated as an accident or a murder.
How exactly?
Well, if it really was an accident, then the professor's machine would be kept in protective custody.
On what grounds?
Ah, yes. It's newly established here in Britain. The Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act.
That one passed me by.
But if the case is treated as murder, then they'll say the machine was the murder weapon.
Oh, then they'll say the machine was the murder weapon, and they'll be able to pour over it as much as they like. If they examine it in detail, they'll find out how it's made, and then they'll be able to copy my idea. My precious hypothesis will be stolen. The machine must be protected from that at all costs. That's why it's imperative that this whole incident is shown to have been an accident in tomorrow's trial.
Ah, I see now. Okay, so I guess... Interesting, so we have to say that this isn't a murder, but an accident. Okay, sorry, I thought we had something. Okay. History, that's what I was looking for. Pour over it, so they'll find out how it's made. Oh, okay. In other words, we have to make sure everyone sees it as an accident, otherwise the intellectual properties of the machine will be stolen. Got it. So, in short, there was a terrible accident at the Great Exhibition Showground yesterday.
Yes, or rather, no. The devil is in the details. Strictly speaking, there was a terrible explosion.
Sounds the same to me.
You were demonstrating super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, weren't you? How fascinating.
Humans, like all matter, are made up of particles that are held together by electrical bonds. So it must be possible using a sufficiently high voltage to break those bonds and beam the particles through space.
Yeah? So you're gonna teleport through space. What's next? You're gonna teleport through time? You're gonna start making tachyons and whatnot?
That's it in a nutshell. That's my idea, you see? That's my amazing hypothesis.
Gosh. That's unimaginably high-level science.
Oh, but dare to imagine it. Dare to dream of such incredible technology. Just think, one moment I could be here in the cell, and the next I could be at the Great Exhibition again.
Well, yes, that would be incredible.
And the next, in the mere blink of an eye, I could be at the Great Parisian Theatre, say. The possibilities are endless. The whole of our vast planet would be within reach.
So, no more hiding in wardrobes on rocky seas for 50 days?
I don't really see it like that.
What do you mean, Iris?
Well, if you could travel anywhere in the world instantly, the planet wouldn't really seem vast anymore, would it? I think it would feel like it had shrunk.
My word, that's exactly right. What are the implications? What does this mean?
Oops, that's got Professor Bunnybrain really worried by the look of it.
Clearly, this is yet another case of just because you can doesn't mean you should, I suppose.
The point is, my calculations are flawless. The science works. But without a practical demonstration, it means nothing. And that's always the fly in the ointment.
Because practical demonstrations cost a lot of money. Money that young scientists like you don't have.
That's exactly it, yes.
Harley's always complaining about it. He says the government should invest more in science.
Well, anyway, I bumped into him at the right time. I met the well-known investor, Mr. Asman.
The victim who died in yesterday's terrible accident, you mean? We'll deal with that later. Actually, let's talk about that because that's more relevant now. The full name of the man who died in yesterday's accident was Mr. Odias. You know what? No. I'm gonna pause the recording here and look up the actual how to say it, because... Okay, so I found the pronunciation. Apparently, well, I don't see any official pronunciations anywhere in my quick search, but I don't know. I thought it's Odias man, or maybe I'm gonna say Odious man because it's odious man, and he's a criminal organization person. So I'm just gonna say Odious man. So yeah. Anyways, as I was saying, the full name of the man who died in yesterday's accident was Mr. Odious man, wasn't it? What exactly was your relationship with the man?
He first visited me in my laboratory in Germany a year ago now. He said he wanted to invest in my immaculate hypothesis. I thank my lucky stars.
I see. So, you hadn't really known each other until then.
Money for scientific research. I'm so envious.
As far as I was concerned, the man was an angel.
Oh. Really?
An archangel, even. He was prepared to fund a practical demonstration of my hypothesis for the presentation at the Great Exhibition. And if that went well, I could expect additional financial support for my research from the British government. Mr. Asman provided me with money and an exceptional engineer. He produced a machine to my precise specifications.
But then your dream were blown to dust in one enormous explosion.
As you can see, I owed everything to Mr. Asman. I would never, ever have thought of taking the man's life.
Well, he seems genuine enough. I don't think he's lying. Alright, you know the Reaper? I understand Lord Van Zieks is a friend of yours from your university days?
Yes, that's right. He was studying law whilst I was studying science.
What was he like back then?
A good question. Unassuming, gentlemanly, an all-around nice fellow, really.
You sure this is the same guy we're talking about? Sorry, I think you misheard me. I'm talking about the cold-hearted, merciless prosecutor, Bert Van Zieks. What was he like when he was at university?
Talk about a leading question, Bruno.
As I said, an unassuming and extremely pleasant gentleman. After all, he is the little darling of the Van Zieks family, with all its great aristocratic origins.
I didn't realize he had quite such noble blood.
Little darling?
It was a bit of a shock when I came back to Britain and learnt what he'd become. The Reaper of the Bailey, no less.
Yes, that's right.
I did hear, though, that there was a very big event in his life that completely changed him after graduation.
Really? What sort of event?
I'm sorry, but I don't know anymore. I wasn't in the country at the time. I was in Germany already.
Oh. Yes, of course. If he's heard all about the Reaper, I really don't have the heart to tell him that Lord Van Zieks will be a prosecutor in court tomorrow. Wow, imagine that, literally having to prosecute one of your friends back in university, wow. So, Professor, let me just make absolutely sure I've understood you properly. The huge explosion that occurred yesterday, that was an accident, you're saying? You had no intent to harm the victim, who was in fact the sole investor in your work. Is that correct?
As correct as 2 squared is 4. I swear it. Yes, it's true that the man perished in the machine of my invention. So I know that I'm far from blameless in all this. But still, I would never use my discoveries, my inventions, to take a person's life. Not in a centillion years. I am a man of science. It's all I know. You have to believe me, please. Do you believe me? Do you believe in my hypothesis? Science is the pursuit of truth, you know. I've always believed that, all my life.
I'm afraid I don't know much about science or your theories. But I do believe you, and I will fight to prove your innocence with all my might. I'm a man of the law. That's all I know. You have to believe me, please.
When I went to live in Germany, after I got graduated, I learned something very important. Nationality, class, lineage, none of that matters. As long as you try your hardest, you can achieve anything.
Thank you for that, Professor.
And thank you in advance for defending me tomorrow in court.
Alright, Bruno. It's time. Time to visit the Great Exhibition.
Sorry?
Well, that's where the incident happened, isn't it?
Yes, I suppose that's true. Time to investigate at last. Jeez, Hairbrain here spitting bars, literally. Alright, nothing more to talk about. Let's move on over to the Great Exhibition stage. Finally. The 22nd of October, the Great Exhibition. Grounds, foot of the Crystal Tower, okay. The showgrounds are a little too big for my liking. We've been walking around in dense crowds for 2 hours now, and I felt myself swooning 3 times.
There are a lot of people, aren't there? I've almost been trodden on 3 times too.
Be careful, won't you, Iris? Don't let go of my hand. We finally made it through the throngs, though, by the look of it. Here we are, underneath the public experimentation stage where the explosion happened yesterday. Okay. Okay. What? What's that? I can hear voices from up on the stage. It sounds like an argument. Well, may as well.
Right, I've had it with this time. I'm warning you. I'll arrest you in a minute.
Oh, yeah? Oh, Inspector, give it a shot. You ain't got no evidence, and you know it. Wait, I know those voices.
You've got a cheeky little mouth on you, young lady. But a night in the cells will teach you some manners.
Just try it, I dare ya. If you want that big bag of chips and round down your throat.
Yoo-hoo! Gregsy, what are you doing up there?
You just gonna shout?
It's you, your ladyship. How are you, ladyship? I do hope you're well, your ladyship.
Yeah? He just ran down here. The moment he heard her voice, he just ran down here. Does that make her 3 times a lady?
I'm not well at all. It's far too busy everywhere. I wanted to ride in a balloon, but there was a 3-hour queue.
Unbelievable. I'll go and have a word for you at once, your ladyship. You'll be flying as high as a kite in no time once I pull some strings for you.
Tobias Gregson, an inspector at Scotland Yard. Until recently, he was suspended from duty, but it would appear he's back in action now. He's actually quite well known, appearing as he does in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And for that reason, he can't say a word wrong to the story's author, Iris. But there are limits, surely. Or there should be.
What's your sunshine?
Sorry.
What gives then? Don't tell me you're on this case.
Yes, I'm acting for the defense.
So we're here to investigate.
Huh. Dear me. That's the situation, isn't it?
Is it really that troubling? A measly 5 bob? Is that all you got? You're a lawyer, ain't ya? It goes down to carry a bit more copper around in your pockets, Mr. Narado.
What?
Hey, that's my last bit of spending money, that is.
Yeah, you can have it back, but I have to charge you for all the butter. 3 bob.
This is Gina Lestrade, a pickpocket or diver born and bred in the East End of London. In the case that led to my own suspension 6 months ago. This is the young girl I was defending in court.
What's your problem, eh, Otto? Diver? Pickpocket? What was with all the name calling? You want a bag of chips rammed down your throat and all, do ya?
I thought you were proud to be a diver, Gina. You were just arguing with Inspector Gregson about it, weren't you? I assumed you'd been up to your usual tricks here at the showground.
I ain't no way to talk to a lady, Otto. Half a year's a long time. People can change. I'm an apprentice now, learning to be a Scotland Yard detective. So, you have to call me what everyone else does. It's Inspector Lestrade now.
Inspector? That badge is homemade, surely.
The inspector part isn't entirely accurate. No one calls her that. For what it's worth, anyway, investigating is off the cards for all of us.
What's that supposed to mean?
Right, well, I'll be back up top. You hold the fort down here, alright? Right, sir.
This raises a lot of questions. Yeah, for example, how did you go from prison inmate to a detective? It was 8 months ago now that I first encountered Gina, in connection with a case I was working on. At the time, she was living in the East End with a group of other orphans. She helped all of them survive by pickpocketing, but then she got embroiled in a murder.
I had a lot of time to think in prison. I realized I couldn't go on like I was. The diving weren't working out.
Oh, I'm so pleased to hear it, Ginny. Well done.
So, you went from being a pickpocket to a detective?
You got it. Good, isn't it? Inspector Lestrade.
Sounds like something out of a book, huh?
Talk about a sea change.
Talk about a paradigm shift, more likely.
And then there's Iris's old man to think about.
Iris's father, you mean?
Yeah, I promised her, didn't I? I said I got all the police forces around the world to put all the stops looking for him.
Just a small promise, then. Nothing serious.
Oh, Ginny, you're so sweet.
So, anyway, that's how come I got the test for Scotland Yard. And the trouble is, I don't read so well, do I? Just a small problem. Nothing serious.
And that's when Hurley approached Drexy and asked for help. So the inspector said he'd take full responsibility for Ginny and made her a sort of apprentice.
That was very magnanimous of Inspector Gregson. And brave.
Well, you know Hurley. He enjoys finding ways to make people do what he wants.
The great detective likes digging for dirt, in other words?
So, the long and short of it is, if you've got questions about the case, you can ask Inspector Lestrade.
Right then, Inspector. Actually, there's still a big mystery surrounding Gina, isn't there?
Oh, what, Bruno? What?
Well, 6 months ago, Gina was a defendant in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper. A trial in which she was found not guilty. Yet here she is, still...
Come on, you're not still on about that, are ya? The Legend of the Reaper, or whatever it's called. Cool, don't you have to worry, Otto.
If I didn't half worry, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of you left.
It's like I told you before, isn't it? The Reaper's kinda like him upstairs, so he knows what I'm like on the inside. That I ain't really done nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong might be stretching a point.
What about Mr. Natsume in Japan? He's perfectly fine, isn't he?
Well, that's true. Perhaps the Reaper is more discerning than I thought.
Exactly. So, I ain't worried. I'm totally fine.
Alrighty then. Let's hear about yesterday's incident.
Cool. It was out of this world, it was. The brainy bloke put a bunch of levels on his machine, and suddenly it started billowing smoke. Then it just went pop. I ain't seen a better experiment here yet.
Sorry?
You mean you saw it, Ginny? With your own eyes?
Yeah, of course. The boss is in charge here, isn't he? Of keeping everything running smooth, I mean.
The boss being Inspector Gregson, I suppose. That's gonna take some getting used to.
Well, all I have to say is I'm on duty, and I can do whatever I want to.
Get this. I was up in one of them flying balloons when it happened, watching it from above.
No! You're so lucky, Ginny. Maybe I should join Scotland Yard too.
Yeah, do it. You know how to put a boss in his place already, right, Iris? You'd have no trouble at all.
Then it's settled. When do I start?
No, you can't join Scotland Yard, Iris.
We'll see. Anyway, what I don't understand is this. If the machine exploded so spectacularly, how can Professor Bunnybrain still be claiming his experiment was a success?
Oh, right. Well, it was a success, in a way.
It was? How can it have been? How was it a success? A man died. Surely after the whole machine blew up, no one could call the experiment a success.
It's like I said, it did sort of work. I mean, yeah, there was a load of smoking on that whopping great bang. But where'd you think they found the victim's body, huh? In the crystal tower over there.
What? In the tower?
You can see for yourself, can't you? Up there above the scaffold.
Oh! Were all the glasses broken, you mean?
Yeah, the cage what the victim got in to start with. Really did get beamed through the air or whatever and landed all the way over here. So, you see, it did kinda work, didn't it?
What? I don't believe it.
I mean, I don't get the ins and outs of it, but anything's possible, right? With science. Oh, I'll tell you what, you can have this. It's a plan of the experiment they drew up at the yard.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go on. I had 3 bob off you before, so fair's fair.
Yes, I didn't actually give that to you. Did I? The sketch of the experiment was inserted. Okay, let's look at it then, shall we? Oh, okay, so I guess was it supposed to like beamed up here inside the tower itself? Wait. Crystal Tower, is that supposed to be a play on the Eiffel Tower? But that's in France, right? Not London? Okay, whatever. Anyways. Why can't anyone investigate? Something Inspector Gregson said before seemed a little strange.
For what it's worth, anyway, investigating's off the cards for all of us.
Yes. Naughty old Grexy ran off after that without explaining himself.
Oh, right. That. The boss said no one was allowed to investigate that weird machine what blew up yesterday.
Well, that's not fair. We're representing the defendant.
In that case, could you at least tell us what you've learned from your investigations?
Nah, you're not getting it. We ain't allowed to investigate neither.
Why? The intellectual properties, obviously.
What did the boss call them again? The forensic investigation team, I think. Anyway, apart from them lot, no one's allowed to lay a finger on the scene. Bit funny, isn't it?
So even Scotland Yard's own detectives can't investigate? Yes, I've never heard something like that before. Oh, huh. I thought it was because of the whole thing about intellectual properties, his hypothesis being copied. It's just because so forensics don't see any fingerprints on everything. Okay.
I thought I could have a gander on the quiet though, but the boss caught me at it. You probably heard him giving me an earful about it before from down here, didn't you? It's not bleeding fair.
I think you were giving me as much of an earful back, as I remember it.
Yeah, well, sometimes I think it's all them chips will make them so stubborn. You say something to him, Otto. Go on, see if you can get to him. He's up on the platform above us, is he? Where the machine exploded is.
We can try, can't we, Bruno? Grexy will listen to us.
Okay, but before we move, there's a new location. Oh. I guess we have to go up there. I think we have to click the stairs is what we have to do. Anyways. Before that, there is actually something we have to look at. Namely, these few pieces right here.
Oh, look! What's this? A ripped piece of cloth.
Huh. It's not like any fabric I've ever seen before. It's very thick and stiff. It looks extremely durable.
It's canvas, I think, with some sort of rubber backing. And the edges appear to be a bit charred as well.
Maybe that means it has something to do with the explosion.
Let's make a note of it while Ginny's mid-yawn.
Alrighty then. Well, I don't see anything special on it. It looks like the layers of thick canvas with rubber lining. Never seen anything like it. But applying part of a raincoat. Nah. Struck by lightning. Yeah? Whatever. Next thing I want to look at is these little debris pieces here. For some reason, the ground is damaged in this spot. Look, like something fell here? Oh, almost as if there was a fire here or something. Yes.
Yes, if you look closely, there are some scattered ash and burnt embers as well.
Well, I suppose there was a big explosion just above here. People probably wouldn't bat an eyelid at a small fire like this would have been.
I'm not sure we English are quite that laid back, Bruno.
Alright. Last thing we need to look at is this. This is not a part of the background, as I thought before, but...
Ah! It looks as though somebody dropped something behind the tree just here.
Dropped or hid? Dropped. It's leaned up against the tree. That's not really a good hiding spot. What is this? Some sort of machine that exploded?
Maybe. Could have fallen from the platform above the blast, perhaps.
What's going on here? Oh, nothing. I think I'll hang on to this, just in case. Alrighty then. Let's investigate it then. Huh. Is this? Let me... Ah, there's some sort of lever here. I knew it! It's a crossbow! What is this? It looks like a cross between a bow and a gun. I think it's probably used for the same thing, too. Why is there a random crossbow leaned up against the... Why is there a random crossbow leaned up against the area? Where's the bolts? This groove here must be where the arrows are loaded, I suppose. So I was right. It's a sort of bow with an automatic firing mechanism. This would be perfect for someone like me who catches his ear with the bowstring 2 times out of 3. In fact, if I had one of these, maybe I could have beaten Cosmo in Kyoto archery training. Who has a literal crossbow? It looks like you wind this around in order to draw the bowstring back and create tension. You must be able to fire the arrows with a huge amount of force using this device then, meaning they travel far. In fact, I would imagine it's far more accurate and powerful than a Japanese longbow. Ugh, I really had no idea what I was picking up when I spotted this at the exhibition grounds. Alright. Let's head up top. These stairs obviously lead to the stage above. We should go up there and investigate the exact spot where the experiment was being conducted. Weird how they made that
I have to investigate the environment for that, and they didn't just make that into an area change. But whatever. So, that's it, isn't it? The machine that blew up.
Ooh, it must have been a magnificent explosion, and I've seen my fair share.
You've seen things like this before, you mean?
Of course! Hurley's always doing experiments that end in a bang. In fact, in his own words, explosions are the very essence of chemistry.
Ah, that might explain the smell of burning that frequently comes wafting up the stairs.
One time, he made something that exploded with such force it took off the roof of the building.
Huh?
I wish you'd been there to see it, Bruno.
Excuse me? It's hard to get too excited about that, given that I now live on the roof.
Well, anyway, that's enough about that. It's time to investigate.
Ah, look, Inspector Gregson is over there. He seems to be deep in thought about something, whilst eyeing the machine up carefully.
Really? He just looks confused to me.
Well, we may as well talk to him, considering we can't do much else. It ripped itself apart magnificently, didn't it?
Magnificently and mercilessly.
So, someone stands in the middle of the machine to be disassembled and then beamed through the air.
Yes, beamed, not blasted, that's the point.
Yes, that part's crucial, really. Is something like that even possible, though, Iris?
Oh, Bruno, I'm just a child. How should I know?
No, you don't get to play that card. A child when it suits you, you mean?
From what I can tell, I think if you were to pull this...
Stop! Stop! Don't touch that!
That was practically instantaneous kinesis the way you flew over just now, Grexy.
Please, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you, but I can't let you touch anything up here.
So sorry. You can have some of my latest special blend to make up for it.
Wonderful. This stuff really is wonderful.
It's just like the old times, this is. We're representing Professor Harebrain in court tomorrow, Inspector. So we should be allowed to examine the scene.
Ha! Listen, Sunshine. Even I'm not allowed to touch anything up here. It's that blasted Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act to blame. It's driving me potty.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call it SDSE. SDSE, because it's easier than saying the entire name. Ah, yes, the special dispensation. The professor mentioned that too.
More red tape's all we need. I don't know what the government thinks it's playing as sometimes.
But we're allowed to just look, aren't we?
Eh?
Surely that's alright, isn't it, Grexy?
Of course, your ladyship. Anything you say, your ladyship. But please don't get your dainty hands all dirty. Would you?
Don't worry. We wouldn't dream of touching anything, would we, Bruno?
She really knows how to get what she wants. Alright then. We may as well look around. That amazing horn-shaped device is pointing toward the crystal tower. I suppose once people are disassembled by the machine, they're shot out of that thing to wherever they're going.
I don't think it was just supposed to shoot anything, Bruno. It was set up to beam people to the crystal tower, where they'd be reconstructed in their original form.
Well, I don't like the look of it. If it was as amazing as it looks, the accident wouldn't have happened in the first place, of course.
I suppose that's true, yes.
But nothing ever goes according to plan, does it? Alright, what about these little debris pieces here? Considering how badly damaged everything is, Professor Harebrained was lucky to escape unscathed, I'd say. We should have a good look around the machine while we can, I think.
Touch anything and I'll make sure I kill you before I get strung up myself, yeah?
I won't touch a thing, I promise. So, please spare a thought for your digestion. Anyway, do you really think this machine could actually disassemble people like the professor claims?
He acts, looking totally incredulous. Give it a rest, sunshine. If we were allowed to examine all this bleeding scrap metal, maybe we could answer that question. But we can't, can we?
Because of the annoying rules, you mean?
Exactly! The annoying, obstructive, flaming rules!
Oh, look at the base of the machine there.
Oh, yes. There's a tool of some kind poking through the wire mesh.
It's a screwdriver, I think.
Oh, isn't it a lovely one? The handle's in the shape of the capital letter A.
It is? Oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
What's the matter with you? Don't touch anything, I said. Touch anything, and I'll make sure I kill you before I get strung up myself, I said.
Yes, I understand. Sorry. I only touched it a teeny-weeny bit.
But Gregsy, I'm very curious about the screwdriver. Really very, very curious.
Of course, your ladyship. You're so clever, your ladyship. Fancy spotting something like this. But I'm afraid I can't let you have it.
But Bruno found it first.
I assure you, I'll investigate it thoroughly.
He's gone off with it.
That was very mean. I'm afraid Inspector Gregson is going to make a very clumsy and embarrassing mistake in next month's installment now.
Poor Gregsy. Well, at least he's gone. No one more else to bother us. Unless I have everything. Looks like I do. Huh. Oh, okay. Never mind then. Let's talk to him. Using high voltage electricity to somehow disassemble a man's body. And then beam him across to the Crystal Tower. It's an extraordinary thing to attempt. Especially in public.
True. It was by far the most unusual of experiments planned for the exhibition, mind.
To be honest, I'm a bit surprised it was allowed. Carrying out something so dangerous with so many spectators present, I mean.
The government's doing everything it can to promote a new science technology at the moment. They're more worried about being ahead of the game than the onslaught of public safety infringements. If they can be the first to develop some new technology, it makes Britain more powerful in the future, you see.
Yes, I suppose that's true in a way.
So, the powers that be are placing heavy emphasis on the scientists' rights at the moment.
What sort of rights?
They're making it so that any theories the brains have remain their legal property, as it were, right through developing it into the practical idea and even going into production. Which is the infuriating reason us coppers aren't allowed to touch this crime scene. Because the new high faultin SDSC Act forbids it.
Ah, I see now.
The only people with permission to investigate here are from some brand new department at the yard. The Forensic Investigation Team is called. We've been relegated to keeping guard.
The Forensic Investigation Team.
Any old fool could see that this heap of scrap metals was a sham to begin with. But just because it says scientific equipment on the paperwork, we can't do a flaming thing with it.
Poor Gregsy. He's very...
Het up or heated up? Whatever. Remind me again, what's this new legal act that means we're not allowed to touch things seen here?
Are you having me out of sunshine? It's the SDSC Act.
Yes. I think Hurley mentioned it that recently. with a real twinkle in his eye, as I remember.
I'm sure he did, your ladyship. I'm sure he did. Past, especially for this great exhibition, it was. All scientists have to do is present their ideas or their invention to some suits in the civil service. And if it gets their rubber stamped, that's the guarantee of rights to maintain the invention's confidentiality.
What does that really mean?
Think about it. Think about all the world-changing new inventions on display every day at this exhibition. Although a good half of them are a load of cobblers, if you ask me, put forward by shammers like yourself.
Thanks for that.
Oh, I love how absurd some of the inventions here are. It's all so fun.
It might be fun to you, but a member of the force has to be present at every single demonstration. Can you imagine, Hang science, that's what I say.
Oh, I don't think so. That sounds like my dream job.
You'd soon think otherwise after spending a day guarding all these shammers' bogus contraptions.
But if they're all bogus, how can anyone hope to demonstrate them? There'd be no point.
Yeah, well, there is a point, sadly.
Sorry?
Thanks to another of our government's bright ideas. If any theory or invention is deemed to show potential, the government hands out a research grant.
The scientists get funding?
Exactly, and that's what they're all after. All these shammers coming from far wide to clog up Hyde Park. And who has to keep them all safe, Who has to smile politely and welcome them? Us coppers, that's who. So, you can see why I say it now, can't you? Hang science. Hang it.
Oh, maybe I can see your point.
Apparently, Professor Harebrained lives and works in Germany now, conducting his research.
That's right. Came back to Britain especially for the Great Exhibition, as I understand it. Probably after one of those government research grants.
Actually, we learned something else about the professor earlier today. About his time in further education. Turns out he was at university with someone we both know. Lord Van Zeeks.
What's that? That's news to me. But if Van Zeeks mounts the prosecution, then, as the accused, the professor's fate is
sealed? Because the Reaper will get him, one way or another.
Ah, blimey. That man's beyond me. I don't know what goes on in that head of his. Talking of Van Zeeks, this morning's paper around the story of him being attacked. Read that?
Oh, yes, but Mr. Reaper is completely fine. Nothing to worry about.
Yes, right. Glad to hear it. Still, the Reaper, How long's that business gonna keep up, I wonder?
What do you mean? The victim of this case, the investor, Mr. Asman. He was another of the Reaper's victims, so I heard.
Lord Berg Van Zeeks is a top-class prosecutor. But even he can't always push the right verdict through. Sometimes, justice can't win.
Yes, I've heard about jurors being bribed and evidence being falsified. And that's how the notion of the Reaper of the Bailey came about, isn't it?
Obviously, Scotland Yard suspected Van Zeeks initially. We all assumed he was taking matters into his own hands if he failed to seal the deal in court.
Although the man himself denies that charge.
Well, we've done a very thorough investigation, and the conclusion we reached is that Lord Van Zeeks is in no way related to the deaths of those people outside the courtroom. There's no question in my mind. I stake my reputation on it. I would.
But if that's true, then how do you explain it? All those defendants couldn't just have coincidentally died if no one killed them.
I know that, but I can't explain it. It's a mystery after all, isn't it? That's the whole point of the Reaper.
Professor Harebrained mentioned something else. He said that, at university, Lord Van Zeek was a totally different person, easygoing and kind.
You what?
He said that if it was after they both graduated that something happened to change the man. Do you have any idea what it was?
No clue.
Really?
Look, I've got my hands full with watching over this frustrating crime scene. Well, I'm with you. Go and make a nuisance of yourself elsewhere, huh?
Well, alrighty then. Well, alrighty then. I guess we ain't got much else to do we? I mean, there's that. I'm pretty sure that's just flavor text though. Ooh, balloon. So those are the people carrying balloons, dangling silently in the skies over London. I always thought that they would come when humans would discover how to fly. But I never imagined it would involve them being suspended from colorful, floating tamari handballs.
I'm sure it must feel amazing, being up there among the clouds. Let's take a ride together, Bruno, please.
If I'm being perfectly honest, I would like to try it. But without a cast iron guarantee that the thing won't plummet to the ground, I'm too scared.
Oh, well in that case, I should tell you what Hurley said. It's physically impossible for a flying balloon to plummet to the ground, as long as it doesn't explode.
Wow. Yes, call me crazy, but I think that exploding part might play in my mind a little. Okay. Yeah, let's go back to the... Yeah? Is there any way to go back down? Yeah, if we come here, we're just stuck here? We can't go back down? Let's head to the Reaper. Sorry, just seeing him just standing here like this is weird. Anyways. That's weird. Alright, let's look over here. I forgot to look at this earlier. The Crystal Tower. Certainly an apt name. It was built to be the focal point of the exhibition, and it definitely is, being so tall and with all that glass. I can't imagine a building like this ever being erected in Japan.
There are lots of exhibits inside the tower as well, apparently. Of course, there's an observation deck, but there's also an art gallery, a zoo, and a museum. But I heard you have to queue for 3 hours just to get through the doors.
Well, at the moment, the shattered glass from the failed experiment may well be the biggest draw.
And thanks to that accident, the whole tower is shut.
Suddenly it's not the Crystal Tower anymore, but the Crystal Glass Shower.
Apparently everyone's taking to the skies now to look down on the disaster area from above instead. But there's a 3-hour queue to go up in a balloon now.
Londoners must be very patient people. Wow, okay. Is that everything? Okay. I'm just looking at something now. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure we found everything. I don't think there's much more to go on. Unless this? Oh, okay, here it is. That's where the cub ended up after his intokinesis, or whatever they call it. Dead, of course. And yet they're calling the experiment a success?
What's with the wooden scaffold there?
The coppers, our lads, set that up after the incident happened. To get the body down, I think. Don't know, really.
Didn't you hope to erect the scaffold then?
Nah. Look out duty's more my thing. Wander around the exhibition and keeping a lookout for fun stuff.
Mind Gregson doesn't hear you saying that, though he'll give you the boot. It's incredible though, isn't it? I mean, could the victim really have been breached the gap between that by some sort of invisible kinesis? There we are. That's everything.
Bruno, listen.
What? What is it?
I've been thinking. Hurley might know something, mightn't he?
About what?
About Mr. Reaper.
About what happened to Lord Van Zeeks, you mean? Because it sounds like something very significant occurred after he graduated from university. Something that completely changed his life. Maybe, but I have no idea where to find Mr. Sholmes at the moment. He's in the middle of some big case, isn't he?
Here, this is what you need.
What's this? Some kind of entrance ticket? Madame Two Spells. Is this supposed to mean something to me?
You don't know it? It's the most popular attraction in London at the moment. It's very close to Baker Street, actually. We could go now if you like.
No, we don't have time for visiting attractions today, Iris. We have a big trial tomorrow.
But that's where Hurley is.
What? At this popular London attraction?
Yes.
How is that you know where he is?
Hurley told me. But he told me to keep it a secret from you, Bruno.
Well, good job with that, Iris. Good job with that. Madame Two Spells. I don't see how it could be related to the case we're investigating here, but then, stranger things have happened, and when they happen, Mr. Sholmes is usually at the heart of them. Yeah, well, not like we're allowed to do anything else here. So, yeah, we'll do that next time. So, yeah, next time on, I guess this, which one is it? Prosecutor's Office. Well, let's go to episode 2 then. So, yeah. Next time, we are going to head over to Madame Two Spells and find Hurley. It's Herlock Sholmes. That way, we can get some information on what exactly happened to the Reaper. Beyond that, I don't know. We're probably going to go into the trial next episode as well because we can't really investigate much of anything else here. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.